Hello, this is a dial caliper that you were looking at. It is used to accurately measure um, all kinds of different ways, but to measure, say, for example, diameter or inside diameter, which would be using these two things, um, depth and so forth with this end. So we are going to learn how to use it in terms of taking the actual measurements. But before we can do that, we have to be able to, once we take a measurement, read what this thing is trying to tell us. And so we're going to do that first and do some practice with that. Make sure we have that so that it's automatic, and then we'll work on actually using the tool. So as you can see here, for example, the distance between these 2 points is right about, let's see, that is about exactly an inch between these two little pincer things. So, and we can tell that because you see that needle's right at the 0, and if we zoom in on it, the whole number part of this, let's get something to point with. You'll see a number 1 that's raised above the other numbers that you see here. So that represents 1 inch. And this is a measurement, for example, of exactly 1 inch. This would be, if I go a few marks past, so for example, this would be a, let's see, well, let's look at it. That would represent a measurement that is this, that is 1.010, so 1.01 inches is how we'd read that. So let's go over how I go about doing that. So first, like we just mentioned, when you look at a measurement, a raised number here is a whole number of inches. So for example, the measurement we're looking at here is past 2 inches. Okay? So the first thing I would write, if I was doing this, would be, let's get a piece of paper out here. So the first thing I would write for this particular measurement is that we are at 2 inches, so 2 point. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. Now, the next decimal place is also on the bar. This part here is the bar. This is the dial. This is the bar. You'll notice that it's past 2.1 inches. So this is not sixteenths like a ruler, thankfully. It's all decimals. So this is a tenth of an inch. So this is 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. It looks like it's past 2.3, but it doesn't get to 2.4. So this would be 2.3. And now the next two places are whatever your dial says. So we'll take a look at the dial. Zoom in a little bit on it. So take a look at that dial. And the number on the dial is, well, it looks to me to be, that's 40, 41. It looks to be just past 42. Is that what that looks like to you? I think so. We zoom in really close, as close as I can get us here. All right. That looks like, yeah, just past 42. So the two numbers that I'm going to write in the next two decimal places are 42. And then, for some instances, that'll be fine. But we can also estimate how far it is between this mark and the next one. So for example, it's just past the 2. It's not almost to the 3. It's just past it. So I might call that 42, and then let's say another 2. So I would say 2.3422. But this is going to be estimated. All right, this number right here is going to be estimated. Now, let's just back out a little bit and see that measurement and go over it one more time. So that we did by saying, all right, the whole number is off of the bar, the raised number. So that's 2. And then we make it to 2.123, we make it to 2.3. And then we go to our dial, And these two digits right here are what the dial says, 42. And then if it's past 42 or whatever we read, we can estimate how far using this one. So if it was halfway between those marks, we'd put a 5. If it was almost all the way to the next mark, I'd put a 9. In this case, it was just past that one. I might use a 1 or a 2. But it's an estimate. Let's look at a measurement real quick that can get you confused sometimes. So we'll go to this one. Actually, we'll go to a whole number. Let's go to something like that. So this measurement can be a challenge. And here's why. When we go to do this one, you're going to look at it. Most people do this the first time they do this. You're going to look at it and say, all right, well, 3, yep, that would be correct, by the way, point. And then you're likely to say 3.1, because if you're like me, you can see the 1, right? But here's the issue. Always check the dial, because we have not made it past this 0 mark yet. So we haven't really gotten to that 1 yet. See, technically you can't see the line for the 1. You can only see the number. We won't make it to 1 until we're past this 0, until this needle passes that. We are still at 3.0. We haven't made it to 3.1 yet. So this is dangerous anytime you see the dial, you know, between 50 and here. Anytime you see it in here, just double check to make sure that you're not jumping the gun and saying it's someplace where it isn't. In this case, it would be 3.0. It hasn't made it to the 0.1 yet. Now I read the dial, and that looks to me to be, depends on how you want to read it. I think it looks like it's at 92 even. So I would say 3.092, and then I would say 0 since it's right on the line. But you want to be careful when the needle is in this area up in here that you don't jump the gun. So let's look at another one of those real quick. So let's say I have this. So you're going to be really tempted to call this 3.4, but it's not, because I haven't made it to the 0 yet. See, now if I go, just to show you, if I make it to here, now I have gotten to 3.4. But if I'm back here, I haven't yet. So for example, this measurement would be 3.3. I know because I haven't gotten past that 0 yet. So this one would be, just scoot this down, 3.3. Now I read the dial. 96 and maybe 3. That's an estimate, of course. So I might call it that. And of course, we put inches after our measurement. So how about, let's do this type of as well. There's one other thing that we can look at that might come up. If I have it, let's say it is right in here. So what would this measurement be? Well, in this case, we make it to the 4. So 3.4 would be correct. What's the dial say? Well, it's before 10, so it's really, that dial says, I'm going to say 6. Yeah, it doesn't quite make it to 7. So that would be 06, right? Because I haven't made it to 10 yet. So you have to put the 0. You don't write just 6, you write 06. But we're almost to 7, so I'm going to put a 9 there. Okay, so careful when it's between the 0 and the 10, this is going to say 0 something. Just like when you say your birth month, mine's May, so I don't, on an official form, I don't write 5/20 for my birthday. I have to write 05/20 for my birthday. So same idea. So yeah, this is generally how you do it. There's not much more to it. Just it's a matter of practicing it a bunch of times. When you do the assignment today, there'll be at least one page where you'll be able to come up and check your answers to see if you're doing it right. Keep in mind that the last digit, that last digit is an estimate. So if you and I have different estimates there, that's fine. This part should be the same for both of us when we're reading that. But this can be different by a little bit, so that's not a big deal. So the assignment that you'll have I walk you through, step-by-step examples. Back this out a little bit, sorry. So I walk you through step-by-step examples, explaining what I just explained again, showing you how I get them, and going through different situations to look out for. And then we do some practice where I kind of set it up for you. There's this, with the different digits and where they go. And then finally, I let you loose and you just do measurements on your own. Right? And so I think it's this page. I'll find one of the pages has the answers all ready for you. I'll double check and make sure I get the right ones to you. This says the first 6 guided practice. So this is examples. So yeah, these guided practice here. So these 2 pages, this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those guided practice ones, I have the answers for you. You can come up and check to make sure you're doing it right. And then the rest of it will be graded as an assignment, and I'm going to pick a page and grade it as a quiz. Probably the last page, to be honest with you, because then that means you got all the way through the assignment and you worked hard, and I'll check to see if you know what you're doing. All right, and that is everything.